Hey guys, Mr. Wood back for another lesson on chemistry, but I know you all are dying for jokes just like I am. Here we go, I only got one. What do penguins use for napkins? Flapkins. You go, that isn't very good, and you would probably be right. Okay, so today what we're going to go back to the handout that is due for Wednesday, Thursday. That is this one. And I'm going to work some problems on both sides. We did a few in class, but we're going to do some more in here. So let's just real quick review what is due the next class. So what's due the next class is this worksheet and these problems from the book. And we're going to have another quiz. What we'll do on Wednesday, Thursday is we'll finish the chapter. And then next week, hopefully we'll do lab on Monday, and then we will do test on Monday, Tuesday we'll do lab, and then on Wednesday, Thursday we'll finish with a test, which would be a great thing if we could do that. Test on chapter 5. Okay, so quick review. What we did, let me write this on the board. So we said that what we're working on here is naming acids. Okay, acids are compounds that are going to start with an H. Okay, and again, we're probably not going to get in the springtime. We always go more in depth on acids and bases, but acids are compounds that produce an H. And so when we see the H at the beginning, we know it's an acid. Okay, and then after that, there's two categories when we name them. So if we have an acid without oxygen, then what we do is we put on the prefix hydro and then the ending IC. And whenever it's an acid, you always write out it's an acid. Okay, so if the acid does not have oxygen, then you put on the prefix hydro and then you drop the ending. Usually it ends in IDE. You drop IDE and becomes IC. The best example of that is HCl. So this does not have oxygen, so I call it hydro and then chloric acid. Okay, so that is when the acid does not have oxygen. When the acid has oxygen, then what you do is this saying, kind of a silly saying, I call it the chemistry disease, atic itis. Okay, so what that always reminds me is that at the ending of the anion, the second ion ends in ATE, I drop ATE and I add IC. But if the anion ends in ITE, I drop IT and I add OUS. So examples of that would be HNO3. So this has oxygen, so NO3 is nitrate. So I drop the 8 and I add IC, so I have nitric acid. And if I have HNO2, NO2 is nitrite, so I drop the I and I add OUS, so it's nitrous acid. Definitely acids are a little bit confusing, no doubt about it. They need a little practice. So what I want to do is I want to go back, and I'm going to start on this side of the handout that says naming acids. And as you guys saw in class, I crossed out some of these. So I'm going to kind of work. I'm going to work where I have some more board space over here. And I'm going to start working from the bottom up of what I gave you. So I'm going to start on number 15. Okay, so I've got H3N. Let me make sure you can see that. Okay, so number 15, H3N. So this acid does not have oxygen, so I put hydro and then the IC ending. So this is hydro nitric acid. So remember, when the acid did not have oxygen, you did two things, prefix hydro and then an IC ending. Okay, and then 14, and this is one where you really need to use, and remember, you guys can now use, after the polyatomic ion quiz, you guys can always use your periodic table. And this is actually, so I'm looking up ClO4, and if you look up ClO4, is actually, it's called perchlorate, and it is actually, I don't know if you can see it, but it's actually right there, perchlorate. So when the acid has oxygen, atic-itis. So if ClO4 is perchlorate, what I do is I drop the 8 and I add IC. So perchloric acid. So that's at atic-itis. Okay, and then HClO2, 13. So ClO2 is chlorite. This has oxygen, so it's just atic-itis. So this is ite, I drop ite, and I add OUS, so it's chlorous acid. Okay, and then number 12 you did not have to do. And then number 11, then I'm going to go to the other side, is HClO3. Okay, so this one, the H tells me it's an acid, and that's it. So ClO3 is chlorate, so atic-itis, so this becomes chloric acid. Okay, so that is how, if you're given the formula, to go to the name. Now let's go to the other side of the handout. Okay, and this is going to be an introduction now into what we're going to do on Wednesday, Thursday. So now we're given the name, right, the formula. So I'm going to start on 14. So now I am on this side of the handout, so where it says worksheet acid formulas. I'm there. Okay, so the acid tells me, so now when we're given the name, right, the formula, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up the charges. So every one is an acid, so it's all going to have H plus 1. 14 says sulfurous. So this is where I go back to atic-itis. So this would have come from sulfite, which again, you guys could have, you can now use your periodic table, and if you look, sulfite, sulfurous sulfite is down there in its charges too, so I cross that over, so what I get is H2SO3. So I look, this is actually what we did at the end of chapter 4. So we looked up the charges and we crossed them over. Okay, number 13. Okay, so it's an acid, so I know it's H, positive 1. Carbonic would have come from carbonate. And again, hopefully you've got that memorized, but you can look up carbonate, okay, right there. It's, again, back on the back of your periodic table. Its charge is important, so you cross that over, so it's H2CO3. Okay, number 12, hydrofluoric acid. So when I see the prefix hydro, that tells me this does not have oxygen. So hydrofluoric acid. So fluorine, again, using your periodic table, just as just fluorine, it's not a polyatomic ion, is 1. So that cancels out, so it's HF. Number 10. Okay, let me do number 10 and then we'll stop. Number 10, phosphoric acid. Or I'm sorry, number 11, hydro means there's no oxygen, so hydrosulfuric. So that means that this does not have oxygen. If I look up the charges, hydrogen's 1, sulfur's 2, so if I cross that over, I get H2S. Okay, so you can kind of see how those work. Hopefully that helps a little bit. I know you're going to have some questions in class on our next class, but hopefully you'll work on this and we will wrap up this and wrap up the chapter in our next class. Guys, have a good day.